Chapter 29. The world belongs to warrior cultures. Know thyself, know thy enemy. 1,000 battles, 1,000 victories. The cycle fluctuates between war and peace over and over again. At some point, there is always mass violence, killing, and murder. And this is just the nature of men. Peace is unsustainable unto itself because we live in a world of haves and have-nots. Inevitably, there is a gang, a group of have-not men out beyond the frontier. The Romans called them barbarians, and these barbarians eventually show up at the gates and kill everyone for women, land, and treasure. The barbarians are strong men christened by hard times. They are violent, masculine, and live in a warrior culture. They want the luxuries of civilization. They want women to reproduce with, and they are willing to use violence to get it. Thus, because war is always inevitable with the clash of the haves and the have-nots, the world belongs to the warrior cultures. The men of the West were once warriors and farmers. The dawn of Western culture was born out of intolerance. Societies are born out of intolerance, and they die when they become too tolerant to function. We are reaching that point of tolerance in America right now, where we are getting over-tolerant, and every crazy thing brought by any fringe group to the popular narrative or media is tolerable. After gay marriage was legalized, the new agenda on the political docket is to legalize pedophilia with groups like NAMBLA, the North American Boy Lovers Association, attempting to join in the LGBTQ group. Islamic immigrants want to marry children as young as 9, as is customary through their religion in some parts of the world, and now the precedence of gay marriage has opened up the next frontier. Why not marry kids? Tolerance is a problem because it sets a precedent for weakness. The new argument is, if I can marry a man and I am a man, can I not be free to love whoever I want? What if I love this child? Can I not marry the child? This is an actual argument on the fringes of the popular narrative right now, and I hope that we don't legalize pedophilia because that is a real step backwards into the Middle Ages for civilization. Tolerance leads to weakness, and weakness leads to hard times. Hard times leads to war and violence. War and violence christen men through blood and flame, making them strong men, galvanized against hardship. America was born as an intolerant nation. The war for independence from the British Empire was born out of an intolerance for the crippling taxes that the empire was placing on the ragtag group of farmers living in the colonies across the ocean. These farmers, the men, became warriors, got pissed off, and started killing redcoat British soldiers until the British had to go home to lick their wounds. The Americans started as the barbarians, and the British were the empire. The Americans were intolerant. The British were so big and fat that they grew to be tolerant. After the Victorian British Empire fell, the American Empire rose to power, and simultaneously, the Russian Empire rose as well. Two backwater countries of farmers and country boys had become the empires. These country boys, who were too primitive to be a threat, rose up as the world leaders and world superpowers post-World War II. Rome was birthed on intolerance and died after it became too tolerant to function. Greece was birthed on intolerance and died after it became too tolerant to function. Right now, the rising star in the world of warrior culture and intolerance is the religion of Islam, which is much more powerful than a nation of barbarians. It's a multinational religion spanning over the entire Third World with over 1 billion members. Imagine 1 billion have-nots pissed off and angry at infidel Western values in Europe and America. Imagine 1 billion angry men with pulsing testosterone and testicles with over 100 million sperm, each ready to spread their seed and take the women of their slain enemies. Islam is growing more rapidly than any other religion in the world, according to a new report by the Pew Research Center that says the religion will nearly equal Christianity by 2050 before eclipsing it around 2070 if current trends continue. The Pew is a nonpartisan fact tank that informs about issues, attitudes, and trends shaping the world. The main reason Muslims are growing not only in number but in share worldwide is because of where they live, says Alan Cooperman, Pew's director of religion research, said in an interview with NPR. Muslim populations are concentrated in some of the fastest growing parts of the world. The Pew report on the matter states that, as of 2010, Christianity was by far the world's largest religion, with an estimated 2.2 billion adherents, nearly a third, 31%, of all 6.9 billion people on Earth. Islam was second, with 1.6 billion adherents, or 23% of the global population. Those numbers are predicted to shift in the coming decades as the world's population rises to 9.3 billion by the middle of this century. The Pew projects that, in that time, Islam will grow by 73%, while Christianity will grow by 35%, resulting in 2.8 billion Muslims and 2.9 billion Christians worldwide. Islam is spreading like wildfire, and many of the countries that Islam takes as members of their tribe are from poor third world nations. Empires fall when they become too tolerant and too complacent and comfortable to be able to identify the hostile barbarians at the gates. History is littered with the carcasses of slain empires that were violently destroyed and trampled on by a barbarian horde. China has become a strong nation through intolerance. They used to be very strict with their policies, but as the Western culture seeps into the Chinese culture and the incomes go up, China will gain a middle class and grow comfortable and tolerant as well. This is the same promise that Hitler gave the young men of Germany, but he couldn't export his ideas fast enough to other groups of people outside of his own group. He couldn't recruit black men from Africa, the Arabs from the Middle East, or anyone who wasn't pure Aryan. This was one of Hitler's fatal strategic flaws. The Islamic ideology, like communist ideology, is proven to be widely exportable, violent, and intolerant. That is an explosive mix of factors that is mortally threatening to the good of the Western world. People who are poor, the have-nots, the frustrated youth of history who want to seize power, have always attempted to rise up through violence to take what they have always wanted, a better life, the luxuries they do not have, and the women of their enemy to reproduce and create offspring. This haves versus the have-nots has been proven over and over again throughout history. The youth versus the establishment has been proven over and over again. The intolerance taking over the tolerant has been seen over and over again. The primitive barbarians sacking empires has been seen over and over again. This is why the world and the future belong to warrior societies. Good times create weak men, which always follows with strong men from other tribes coming to invade. The barbarians are at the gates. Should we let them in? It is better to die on your feet than to live on your knees.